Good evening, friends. We are back here again on Shai, etc. with a series of conversation that really matter. A series of conversation that is much needed in today's time. A series of conversation that might stir up some emotions within you. Because what is important and what has to be brought forth is not always pleasant, is not always something that will come and soothe you. Sometimes we need to go beyond these smiles and look at what is the reality of life. We as women, especially as women, we tend to take up all the challenges smilingly because we've been taught that if you don't smile and take up your life journey, you will be termed a nag. You might be termed a bitch. You might be termed many other terms which are not so pleasant to the heart, the soul, or the ears. And for the men out there, it is the women in your life that bring in ease and joy, that bring in the calmness to your energy. And I am sure you've all had a great time during the festivities yesterday, the festivity of Raksha Bandhan, wherein the men take an oath to be the protector for the feminines in their life, where the feminine surrender joyfully to the masculine energies in their lives, expecting them to treat them with love, with honor. And I'm sure all of you are experiencing a lot of joy and bliss post the festivities. And for those who do not understand and value the women in their lives, think think of the world you're creating. Think that every time when you dishonor, when you mistreat, when you suppress, oppress, or use words and terms which are hurtful for the women, think of the life you're creating for yourselves. Think of the environment you're creating for your family and your loved ones. Think of the trust you're breaking. That said, I am sure there are a lot of men out there who really honor and treat their women well. Today, today's conversation is a conversation all about femininity and righteous rage. Women who maintain silence while going through all the sufferings that they go through internally. Women who smile and do all the tasks that they are supposed to be doing and yet feel immense pain. They feel immense grief. They feel immense sadness each time they are ill treated or disrespected or dishonored. And the rage in them is suppressed. When that rage comes out, it creates havoc. And for us to not get into the zone where we express our rage in havoc, we need to explore our femininity. We need to know how to express ourselves. And we need to educate our men how to treat us better so that we can live joyfully in love, ease, grace, and joy. And with that, today we have a sacred feminine with us, Jonita D'souza, the creatress of Exploring Femininity. Jonita has spoken on various platforms across the world. The girl from Port Blair who now lives in UK. We welcome her back home for her first conversation on an Indian platform. Welcoming Jonita D'souza. Hey Jonita, how are you doing?
I am so excited. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm so touched and emotional by your opening. It deeply resonates to the feminine, to the men, to the women listening. I'm so grateful for your work. Thank you for having me. Very excited.
Thank you, my love. Thank you for accepting our invite and connecting with us. Jonita, I'll come straight to the question.
Come on, sister.
When we talk about femininity, when we talk about the feminine, today, in today's times, people talk about feminism. The
Mm,
term feminine is hardly to be seen, heard, or felt anywhere because everything is about feminism.
yeah.
So, how is feminism different from femininity?
Well, I think feminism, what we are witnessing is a movement, and somehow it has kind of got off track of course from its root. And I see feminine, the word feminine has been misunderstood by the society, I not only for years but centuries, I must say. And I knew that when I was looking up for the word feminine and trying to see Google images, all I could see was, connotation of women in pink nails or heels and, flaunting their body, and femininity itself was portrayed or is still portrayed that ways. And no wonder many of us women have put up this mask on, put up this guard on, because we don't want to be seen as this Barbie. We don't want to. We want to feel safe in our body. So femininity is the essence, the energy, the principle of creation, compassion. Feminine essence is about making our lives in harmony with the feminine principles. And for us women, feminine essence is a dominant energy. So I think there's a lot of confusion between feminism and femininity, feminine essence, and it all brings us back to the feminine principles. I believe that one of the most powerful teachings to show a person their essence. And once a person realizes their essence, then they are able to understand more of their choices, behaviors, decision making, and all of that. So it is very important for us women to understand this feminine essence, which is the innate nature of to be born in a woman's body. This is the gift we come with as soon as we come inside this woman's body. And what I feel is that the feminine essence is activated when we make certain physical, energetic, and emotional shifts in our lifestyle, shifting priorities of our lives to make it more nurturing and fulfilling to us. It means giving importance to creativity. Look at you, sister. Giving more importance to emotional intimacy, to play, to value based growth. That is what femininity is about.
The feminist movement started somewhere in 1960s,
Yeah.
and 50 years later, we are in a space where it seems as if we as women have lost our femininity. We as women are are at a juncture. where the masculine side of us is so, so strong that
Mm,
the feminine side loses its ground, and the ones who are caring, nurturing, compassionate are considered as weak women, are considered as women who can be abused, who can be tortured, who can be tormented.
mm-hmm.
And how do we bring the power back to the feminine energy? Be it in, when we look at Indian history, when we look at our goddesses, whether it is Durga, Kali, whether it is Saraswati, Lakshmi, all these goddesses had their own power. And when we look at the gods, there was a certain respect given to the feminine energies. How do we bring back that respect into our being, Janita?
Yeah, this is the work that we women are required to begin in this lifetime. This is the path that we women are called to walk, because as you said, that femininity for some reason has been considered the opposite of masculinity. So masculinity is shown as strength and decisive, whereas femininity is somehow considered as its opposite. It's not the opposite, it's the complementary to the masculine. So femininity is not weak, but of course we have a long history of suppression. What I like to look into is that we are the most, we as this generation of women, we are the most privileged. If you really look around from where we have come, look at our mothers and our grandmothers and great grandmothers, we are the most privileged generation of women that history has ever seen. But we are more depressed, we are more stressed, we have all sorts of illnesses, we are overworked, we are burnt out, and we are afraid of our own femininity. And that's disheartening. And again, nothing to be blamed and no one to be blamed. That's not what we are taught. It is interesting that because I came from India, back in London, everybody thought that I knew everything about femininity because, of course, I come from the land of the goddesses. Yeah, so that was the assumption that, oh, you come from the land of the goddesses, so tell us about femininity. I didn't have a clue growing up. I didn't have a clue until my 20s, where I was met with a scenario where I was desperate to find what womanhood means. Like, how am I supposed to be this introvert, be quiet, and still show up, as a strong woman? I was confused. So I think a lot of women are feeling this in their own unique ways. They are feeling this burning, this sensation, this confusion, this anger inside of themselves. And that is a very beautiful place. That is the birthing.
And what happens within a woman's body, within her soul, when she silently uh, when she silently undergoes all kinds of traumas, when she is unable to say no to any kind of abuse, torture, any kind of bullying, shaming, blaming, any
Mm.
kind of suppression, when she still feels the compassion for her loved one. And in most scenarios, it is the loved ones who cause you the most pain. What happens within a woman's body and her soul, Jonita? What does she go through?
Yes, you said a very interesting point there, sister, that our family is our biggest spiritual assignment in this lifetime. And no matter how much work you have done on yourself, they can still throw you off the road by little things. So a lot of the trauma we have ingrained it is due to the societal conditioning, but mostly in our very close circle. And when we as women, we continue ignoring the voice within us. We all have that voice. We all have that, that inner wisdom. We just don't, we are scared to listen. In fact, working with women, I realized it's not that we do not know how to access our intuition, but women are afraid to listen to their intuition because they know that if they start listening to their intuition, then the world around them is going to fall apart. Yes, yes.
Everything is going to explode into millions and zillions of pieces the day she
Yeah.
speaks up.
Yes, and who has time for that? You have to take care of your family, you have to take care of your husband, your children, your job. So we kind of like push it aside, and we go on and we carry on with our work. What happens physically in our body is, there are several ways it begins to manifest in our body. Especially, women start to experience skin problems. That's one of the things that I have been working with herbalists in London and emotional healing, and it was very interesting phenomena to witness that women who did not feel safe in her body were developing all sorts of skin conditions all over the body. And then the more we worked into restoring safety in her body, those skin conditions were going off, were healing in its own beautiful ways. Another thing is the womb work. Our unresolved emotions get stored in and around our womb area. So all the anger, all the time we have been betrayed, all the time we've been shut down, all the time we've been told that we cannot speak up and we are not worth it and we are less than, all of those things, and they get carried into and stored into our womb space. Our womb space is our center to access feminine wisdom, but it is also a
It is the
memory
temple
house.
to our beingness. Our womb space as feminines is the temple to our beingness. And
Yeah.
that is the space which is abused the most. The kind of, even in rage, when people uh, abuse each other, the verbal abuses that are used are mainly centered around a woman's womb, whether it be the mother or the sister.
Yeah.
And it is so disgusting. It is so disgusting. It is so disgusting to feel what you feel inside of you when you blamed and shamed for somebody else's own mindset. It is
Yes.
so disgusting to be shunned the way women are shunned, not only in India but across the world. Abuse is not just physical abuse. Abuse
Yes.
is not just mental abuse. Abuse is emotional abuse as well. And especially when we suppress that abuse for a long period, and a long period for each one could be different. For someone it could be a week, for someone it could be a moment, for someone it could be a years of abuse.
Yeah.
But that suppressed abuse turns into rage.
Yes.
What is righteous rage, Jonita? What is righteous rage?
Yeah. So this is where we lack understanding of the emotion of anger. And I don't know about you, but growing up for me, I was told to be a good girl, don't be angry. And this was just very common phrase. What? How is good girl equal to not be angry? Like, I can still be angry and be a good girl. So I was really confused as a little girl. So I would ask simple silly questions. not silly really, but according to them, and I would be shunned down. And I was extremely emotional girl, so every time I feel the anger in me for something that happened around, I would lock myself in the bathroom and I'll cry, because that's how I knew to process my anger. And then I'll wash my face and come out. So that was my place to show my anger. And again, no one to be blamed. It's just how, how the society is, how we've been taught. No one has been taught to process anger in a way that benefits them. So rage is another level. Rage is totally another level. And what I have seen through several years of um, failing at using my anger rightly to bring out the desired outcome, I have understood that anger is a secondary emotion, and we have to discover that for ourselves, the root cause of this emotion, because that leads to the righteous rage. So anger is not a primary emotion, it is a byproduct of two emotions, either fear or sadness. So when we feel angry, these are the questions we've got to ask ourselves, like, is that a fear or is there a sadness in me? And when we for prolonged period of time
And most
continue.
of the time, Jonatha, most of the time, I think it is more of sadness because the anger
Exactly.
is on the people that you care for. So it is more of breaking down into pieces emotionally with that sadness inside you.
Yes, it's really interesting that you said that most of the times it's sadness. I'll tell you why. For us women, anger and sadness are very interconnected, because that's the way the patriarchal society has been constructed around us. Boys are taught to turn their sadness into anger. So they grow up and go about in the world. They are more okay to express their anger. We women are not taught that. So it is very easy for a boy to grow up as a man and show anger, because that's the example that they are seeing. But us women, we keep our sadness and we keep sulking and it becomes anger, and over time it becomes our rage. We turn our anger into sadness, and then we turn our potential power of our anger into tears and victimhood. And if we really become honest with ourselves, if we are an adult right now watching this, I like to say this, that when when we were children and when things were imposed on us, we were the victims. Yes. But as an adult, if you continue that cycle, if you do not do anything about it, then you are an ignorant. And I know this may sound really annoying, but this is true. We have to get honest with ourselves, that why are we ignoring attending to these critical emotions in our life that matter to us so much?
And ignoring these emotions, they get settled in our body. Uh, they become skin diseases. They become disease in various forms. Whether it leads to bone degeneration, whether it leads to hair fall, whether it leads to loss of appetite or gaining or eating too much, or gaining excess weight around your womb area, around your stomach area.
Exactly. And breast cancer. A lot of a lot of diseases and medical conditions related to the womb, like cysts, PCOS, fibroids. All of these are also result of unresolved trauma settled in our body for a prolonged period of time.
Jonatha, when we talk about rising of the feminine, when we talk about exploring femininity, when we talk about the essence of feminine, and you know, in spiritual terms, we say that each human has both masculine and feminine energies in them. So, on one hand, we're training our women to be more feminine and be in her complete power rather than stripping her power off by making her a feminist. On the other hand, how can we bring our men to align with their own feminine energies?
Yeah, what I have noticed is that more and more men are now becoming comfortable sharing their emotions. I think also men have their own journey of, generations that they've been told to man up, don't show emotions. So I have met so many men who are emotional but will not show their emotions so that they may not be termed as weak, and they may use that emotion in the ways of anger, the projection of anger. For men.
So, do you think that when men are into a space of blaming, shaming, tormenting, torturing people they love, do you think it is suppressed emotions that come out in form of anger and torture?
Mm, yes, I believe so. um, they have their own generational trauma, as I said, that like we women did not have a good role model except the goddesses of the divine feminine, which was like something out there and far, and we have to be at the feet of, and we are less than of, so we could not relate. Same goes for men as well. They have their own journey, and that's why I like to say that when someone asks me, like, how can my man, how can my the men around me embrace more of their feminine side? My answer to it is begin from yourself, because the men needs that container. They need that space, they need that container to let their guards off and not be judged. And only we women can provide that container by first accessing it, because it's easier for us to access. It's our innate nature. And we can then impart that education to the people in our lives, the men in our lives. They respond to feminine energy. And I know, like in India, there is the fear of, at least I had, the predator energy, that, if I'm too feminine, then I may be under attack, or I may be attacked to look good, or things like that. And again, that is an energy. We women can use the workings of our body. There are several ways where we can on a regular basis activate our feminine energy, and when we do that, we step out of the victimhood, and the energy that we are emanating is no longer of a victim, because the predator men out there, they are looking for victims. They are not looking for integrated women. They're not interested. It's too much hard work for them. Yeah.
Too much of hard work to
To dismantle.
to deal with an integrated woman and dismantle your own traumas and get
Yeah.
into your own strength and power.
Yeah. Pretty
Because to
much.
be the best, because to be the best version of yourself, you need to work hard on yourself. You really need to work on yourself. And who
Yes.
wants to do that work? Who wants to take up the challenge?
Yeah.
Who wants to pick up the challenge? And that is why probably we have so many disempowered men around us.
Yes, and I think what we are doing, Kanchan, you, me, and so many women, maybe the women watching, the men watching, we are creating a new way. We are paving a new path, because how can we teach that to our men if we don't even know how to? We are doing it step by step, one belief by one belief, one thought, one action. We are becoming that example, so that when men come in my, now I have that, like when men come in my vicinity, either they like me or they don't like me. There are no dabblers in and out, and I think this is because my energy is integrated. I have done the work, and I exactly know that this is who I am, and this is what I'm open for, and this is what I am closed for.
And probably with the kind of energy we carry as sacred feminines, not everybody can reach us. Not
And not
every
everyone will
energy
like
can
you.
reach us.
Not everyone will like you. And I
And the
want to.
ones, those who can and do reach us.
Mm, yes, yes.
Sorry,
And
Jonathan, I
that,
can't hear you clear. I can't.
okay, no? Okay, can you hear me now? Okay. Yeah, yeah, exactly. You said that those who have to be in our circle will come to our circle. And as women, we are so giving by nature, by default. So naturally, we tend to impose our ideas into the men around. That's not a good thing too. That's called emasculation. That's not a good thing, and that's not empowering them. We do not impose our ideas, we become the ideas. We inspire through ideas. And which is why your rage is a story. If you feel as a woman that, oh my god, I am so overwhelmed and I'm so done and I'm so frustrated. I feel like I have wasted my time and my life is going nowhere, and you're feeling this anger of disappointment. Your rage is trying to tell you a message. A message. Your rage is trying to teach you something. And your rage is trying to tell you that somewhere your needs were not met, and the rage is trying to tell you the deepest level of self love and self care that you have to right now offer to yourself to bring you out of that situation. It tells you about any boundaries that have been crossed, anywhere where you gave up on yourself, where you have been abusing yourself in the name of circumstances, life, people.
Jonita, you know, most of the people, most especially in Indian scenario, and I'm sure globally as well, we have been taught uh, two ways of looking at life, either reward or punishment. So if somebody is not behaving in a certain dignified manner, you give them punishment. If somebody is behaving in a certain manner, you reward them. And I do not believe in either reward or punishment. I believe in an equilibrium state. I believe in love and compassion. I believe in forgiveness and evolving through it. However, um, do you think there is a third part out wherein it's neither the carrot or stick, nor is it too much of overgiving?
Mm. Yes, and the third aspect to this that I can add to is an energetic aspect, reward, punishment, and I like to tune into the energy of possibilities. you know as you said, when you act well, then you're rewarded. When you don't act well, then you are punished. But how about we as women begin to play with the energy of possibilities? Possibilities that you do not have to wait for the reward, possibility that you are okay if you do not agree, possibility that you can ask for support, possibility that your worth does not define is not defined by your relationships or the things that you do in the day. Possibility is the energy that I like to play with, which made me become curious to exploring how will it look like if I don't settle here or here. It was very obvious for my case because I did not feel belonged in when I spent my first 20 years in India and the next 15 years in London. So where was I? I was in the middle. I was looking for not duality, but I was holding both energies and trying to make my work through it. Does it make sense?
It does make sense because when we are talking of re-emergence, when we are talking of getting our power back, it is all evolution is all about possibilities. Evolution is not about going back and digging the mud and taking bringing out the shit or throwing it at each other. Evolution is not about blaming and shaming. it is looking at the aspect, the possibilities of forming and creating a new space, a space of care, compassion, and mutual nurturing. How do
Absolutely.
we how do we make that space a safe space for feminine energies, Jonita? How do we bring that courage and strength into a feminine womb, telling her that you are safe in your space? How is that possible? Is it
Yeah,
possible?
it is definitely possible. You've done that, I've done that. Thousands of women have been doing it and are doing it. It's absolutely
Trust
possible.
me, I am still learning. I am still learning. I wouldn't say that I've done that because there are still places where I am unable to voice my pain or my thoughts. It's not easy to be a complete strength all the time.
That is true because that is human nature. What I like to say is that we always wait to overcome a certain fear or overcome a certain guilt or shame or any of the dark emotions or heavy emotions that we have, and we feel that once we have done that work, then we can feel good about ourselves, then we can focus on ourselves. But the foundational work of cultivating feminine energy in our body as a woman is to come back to the body, bring safety back to the body. A lot of us women do not have a very harmonious relationship with our bodies. We dislike our body, we don't have time for our bodies, we do not listen to our bodies. So, understanding the nature of a woman's body is the first step into getting into connection with the feminine that is already inside of you. And that happens through connecting with the cycles. We as women are cyclic. So, connecting with the cycles of your body. If you are menstruating, then connecting with your cycles there, connecting with the moon cycle because it heavily affects a woman's body and emotions. And these two, and the third one, third primary cycle is the seasonal change, the cycle of the Mother Earth itself. When we give ourselves the space and time as women to connect with these three rhythms, we automatically begin to remember the wisdom that is inside of us. It's there. It's always there. It's always been there. We just have become too busy. We become extremely busy and we do not like our body. We do not like the temple that we live in. So, beginning with the womb is also a very beautiful place. Womb, as you said, and known in many several ancient traditions, that is the powerhouse of the feminine. But it is the powerhouse. The powerhouse is inside of you, but it's your responsibility to generate the power. The powerhouse does not just work by itself, if you actually think. There is a mechanism, and it's our responsibility to use that mechanism. So, through touch, through breath, through listening, we can return and bring back safety to our body. And once we have safety in our body, we begin to collect pieces of our lost worth, collect pieces of our crossed boundaries, collect pieces of places where we want validation because we feel safe in our body first. Does it make sense?
Talking of validation, yes, it does. Talking of validation, talking of feeling safe in our body, and talking of rage, talking of the anger that is been there for generations and generations and centuries in the female body, not allowing the feminine to express herself, not allowing the masculine to integrate the feminine side of himself, the emotional side of himself, and expressing it in form of rage, which is not righteous. How how do we as feminines get into our ultimate maximum power? And that said, there is one more question I have, Jonita. When women get into their ultimate power, when they express themselves, be it in compassion or rage, a lot of times it is termed as dark feminine.
Yes.
What
Yes.
is it? What is it? Can you throw some light on the dark feminine?
Yes. Yeah, really, really good topic. So, we women have the habit of wronging our emotions. If we feel like, oh, I'm feeling doubtful about myself, or I'm feeling guilty, I should have done this more, or I don't like this, I'm feeling resentful, I should have not done this, blah, blah, blah. All the thoughts that we have in our minds, and within ourselves, spiraling throughout the day. Firstly, we women have to stop wronging our emotions. Our emotions are indications of this righteous rage. And all of us, within us, women, we have the element of dark feminine. Dark feminine is different from the shadow feminine. Dark feminine is simply this unconscious part of the feminine wanting to become conscious. No judgment, good or bad. So, if you feel like, oh gosh, I done something better, why didn't I speak up? I'm really upset with myself for not speaking up, and you're angry. That part of you is your dark feminine. There are goddesses worshipped for their dark feminine energy. In Indian tradition, it's the Kali. There is there is Lilith, Mary Magdalene. These are all dark goddesses, and their dark feminine
Even
energy.
even Kuan Yin, even Kuan Yin when even the Kuan Yin energy when sitting on a lotus.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So the dark feminine energy,
Can you
dark
hear me?
feminine, yes. So the dark feminine is this unconscious aspect of our feminine wanting to become conscious. And especially for us women, it is very important to connect with our dark feminine because, as I said, we are cyclic in nature. Every time, and the yin is the dark element. Every time we come closer to our moon cycle, let's say, the time when we are beginning to menstruate, we are in the element of our dark feminine. Tell us this little thing and we are ready to explode. Every time we are in the phase of the dark moon, couple of days before the new moon is the dark feminine time. We women feel very intense, heavy emotions. Now, there is nothing to resolve here. This is our nature. As long as we will be in this woman's body, we will continue to feel those heavy sadness, those heavy emotions. Our work here is to learn to transmute them, transmute those energies, because they are indications of places where boundaries have not been met, places where I could be showing up better, places where change is required. So we women are actually gifted with darkness. That is the gift. And it's very easy to speak about all of that, but to have an embodied experience, we what I like to say is like it is important that we go through certain tantric rituals so that we become safe with our darkness. I like to do something called dancing our darkness. So really feeling like the Kali, yes, she does the tandav. Yeah, so when you are feeling this rage, surrender to the goddess, surrender to the feminine, and move your body. Let it move through you. And yes, you will cry. Yes, you will be on your knees. Yes, you will not know the answers, but you will receive a revelation. And it is your responsibility to listen and respond. That's the element, that's the key element of the dark feminine.
So when we talk about the dark feminine, when we talk about, embracing both sides of yourself, whether it be the light and the dark, and we talk about the rage that is within suppressed, be it the darker side or the lighter side, because I'm sure that light is more of compassion. The rage is the dark feminine within us, which is probably screaming to be embraced in her honesty and truth. How we as feminine and masculines, together we as humanity, embrace the darkness without shaming, without blaming, without putting the guilt into each other, without causing pain, hurt, or sadness within each other. Is there a possibility to do that, Janita?
Yes, yes, yes. The possibility always exists. Yes. Finding ways to open our voices. As you said that, we feel the suppressed voice. Finding ways to open our voices, finding space, safe space where we can speak about these emotions, finding your tribe, because a lot of us are feeling this, and we are quite similar in every different cultures that I have worked with, different nationalities, diverse form of womanhood, from different age range. We all have the same range, very similar range. So it is important to find the safe space to express that, to practice expressing that, to learn ways come together, practice conscious communication. We have to find a safe space. We cannot do this to our loved ones. We cannot expect them to understand our rage all of a sudden. That's not fair on them. It is our responsibility
But
until
is
we.
it but is it fair? Is it fair to be uh, to be taken through ordeals which make you so sad that you get into a stage of anger and rage?
Yes, that is inevitable. The question is how long will you suppress yourself, because that is inevitable. You know that we as women have huge capacity to be really angry in 1 minute, and then in 2 minutes later we are okay, another 2 minutes we are happy. It's we women have wide range of emotions, Our emotions change every 2.5 minutes. So it's quite intense being a woman. Like, we have to really acknowledge that it's quite intense. Men do not have the capacity. It's not about less than or better off. No. But this is the reason, women have been made fun of, that, oh my god, she goes again, or she must be PMSing, and things like that. Women have been shamed. But this is our innate nature. And if you one day explode with all of that, what you have been containing, then probably that was it. That was your saturation. We It will inevitably happen unless you find safe ways and space to express that, to learn about that. Ask for support, ladies. Ask for support. Whatever I'm talking with you, and I know, Kanchan, you can also resonate. I would never have been able to share all of these things if I had never asked for support 10 years earlier. Ask for support. There is so much support available. And we women are not meant to do this alone.
Jonita, there is so many more questions. There are so many more questions on the topic, and it is a vast topic. Exploring femininity, knowing about your righteous rage, knowing how to handle your emotions, and including your partner on the journey, including them, teaching them how to embrace their femininity and masculinity with compassion, teaching them how to walk the path without shaming, without making the other feel inferior or less than. There is so much more to talk about on this topic, and I am sure we will meet again and we will take this conversation further. Today our time is running out. and And I would like to thank you. I would like to thank you so much for making time for this conversation, Jonathan. Thank you so much for bringing in your wisdom. Welcome home, girl. Welcome back to India for whatever time you are here.
Yes, it's such a pleasure talking about my favorite topic with.
And are you conducting any workshops? Are you conducting any training sessions here in India or online where people can connect to you and know more about how to get back into their power, how to reclaim their power, how to integrate their righteous rage into compassion?
Yes, yes. So far, I am doing more of online work whilst I am here in India, and that's the way people can connect with me. And I have plenty of free resources for women to take them on the journey of exploring connection with their womb, exploring connection with their sensual womb, as I like to say, exploring connection with their dark feminine. So I have plenty of free resources. You can connect with me on Facebook. That's the only place I am active. And ask for guidance. And yes, there are plenty of free resources. There are plenty of paid courses as well. But free resources are a good taster for you to, drop in, check what it is for you, and take off from there. So yeah, you can find me on Facebook under Exploring Femininity.
Thank you, Janita. Thank you for your time. Thank you coming here and sharing your wisdom with us.
My pleasure, sister. Such a joy, such a joy. Thank you so much for holding this beautiful space for us to speak our truth.
Guys out there, femininity is not about just your body, it's about your soul. It is about your journey to yourself and exploring both sides of the yin and yang, exploring and knowing about your femininity is the path forward, the way forward to self love, the way forward to nurturing and caring for the ones who you really love. Because if not, you're pushing them into dis-ease. You're pushing the women into dis-ease, creating a space which is not safe emotionally, physically, mentally for them to be with you. You're creating a space which is not conducive for healthy living. And if you wish to create healthy living for yourself and for the ones around you, be it feminines or masculines, come into integration with your own self. Get into the journey of exploring your own soul's needs. And for more information on exploring femininity, you can connect to Jonita at jonitadesouza.com. You can also connect to Evelyn Sequeira or Azealia Falio or Dr. Gitanjali Chauhan at Sacred Lotus Womb Academy. You can connect and write to me for any further guidance that is needed, and probably I can help you direct you to the teachers who are teaching the righteous way of living with or without rage. Ensure that your rage is worthwhile. Ensure that you grow through your journey. And with that, lots of love to each one of you. Lots of love to each one of you who are on their path to themselves. Wish you a very good night. Do take good care of yourself. Bye bye.